of nature, things of that 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 nature.
You know, I wonder how many people just turn that off during that intro. We probably should consider that after games like this. Hello, everyone. I'm Curtis Wilkerson. He's Andrew Ellis. We're inside Arkansas, and we're here with the Pot of That Nature post-game accountability session, where basically we just kind of run it back from the things that we talked about in our pregame, where we make some bold predictions, some challenges to key players, and if we were wrong, hold ourselves accountable for that. If we were right, we pat ourselves on the back. There ain't too much to pat ourselves on the back about today, aside from, can you have a moral victory in a game you actually win, Andrew? Arkansas survives UAB 37-27. I still don't know what to think about it.
I think they call this an immoral victory. I would say this what this victory counts of. This is not holy football. This is tainted victory. But it is a victory nonetheless. And so we'll try not to be too, harsh, down on the team. And I will say, Curtis, we got a few things right. A few things accidentally worked out in our favor here. But we, like you said, we hold ourselves accountable, and that's what we're here to do.
Yep, no doubt about it. So when we do these pregame shows, and those come out every Thursday or Friday morning, depending on the week and the opponent, and we really talk about three different things. We go with, I just think the things that we feel like we must see out of Arkansas in a game. So our non-negotiables, we issue some challenges to individual players who we think maybe are better than they've been playing, or you want to see more out of, you want to see them step up, whatever. And then we throw out some bold predictions for fun. So we're going to roll through them and see if we knew what we were talking about going into this game. The non-negotiables. Oh, they were negotiable.
They were extremely negotiable. They were because you know what they said? The Hogs said no.
Exactly. Yes, that's right. They were not willing to come to the bargaining table for this one. The very first thing that we really wanted to see in this game was Arkansas to clean it up, because they shot themselves in the foot at Oklahoma State. Mistake after mistake after mistake. It was self-inflicted. And yeah, credit to Oklahoma State for taking advantage. But Arkansas did themselves zero favors and had a ton of things that they needed to sharpen up. They didn't turn it over 3 times, so I guess that's good, but still just a lot of mistakes, very uneven performance. Taylor Green really struggled, threw another interception, some bad penalties, too many face masks, just another sloppy performance from the Hogs.
Yeah, and it seemed like, and it's hard to say that Arkansas, like you said, no turnovers, no huge back-breaking mistakes. Other than, I guess they did turn the ball over on their literal first possession. Yeah. Taylor Green throwing a pick that set up a touchdown drive, if I'm correct, right?
Yes, yeah, it was 10-0 real quick after that.
Yeah, because they scored 3 on the opening, and then Yep. But yeah, I mean, you had just the one turnover, but it felt like anytime Arkansas didn't score on offense, it was because they got in their own way, which is kind of what we saw a little bit of in the second half last week. So it wasn't overly sloppy every play, every possession or anything, but it did feel like Arkansas got in their own way a lot. And defensively, they offered a lot of help to UAB, whether that was missing tackles, whether that was, just ignoring guys out of the backfield, whether that was face mask penalties. I know a few of those, kept drives going and kept moving. There actually should have been one that they missed that Arkansas didn't get called for a face mask. And so, again, we can talk about who do we assess the blame to, who gets the punishment here. And you can say, how is it coaching when it's all players? It just feels like week in and week out, Arkansas continues to make weird mistakes at critical times. Even on that last drive, game should have been over. But Danico Slaughter rips the guy's helmet off, and all of a sudden now they're at midfield. A better team probably takes advantage of that. And so really tough. It was very negotiable, Arkansas's sloppiness.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And sometimes it doesn't always show up in terms of turnovers or penalties or whatever. It's just a lack of confusion and focus. And we saw that out of the gates with Arkansas. We saw it on that last drive where they iced the game with the scoring drive. But man, you get the kickoff, you come out for the first play and you get a false start right away. You fumble an exchange where Taylor Green's trying to pull it and Jaquindon Jackson elbows it out of his hands. That's down near the goal line. That could have been a disaster. And then the play that Taylor Green scored on was a bad snap down at his feet. And that could have been a disaster. So they were flirting with it the entire game. The biggest thing about cleaning it up is We have now reached a point in the schedule to where Arkansas will not get away with those things. So if you look at this team at the end of the year, and yes, I think all agree that they are more talented and than they were last year, and they're capable still of winning quite a few football games. If they go 4-8 or 5-7 and miss the postseason, this kind of stuff is going to be a big part of the reason why. Another big one was to avoid that letdown and put on a show for the home crowd. Nope, another stinker. We talked about it, beforehand, and we have all these weird home games. And it's not that they always lose them, but they just don't come out and perform well at home. You think about Rice. You think about Missouri State, Liberty, obviously a game that they did lose, Kent State, a game that they did not play well in last year. Finally get in front of the home crowds, and Arkansas just looked flat, and they were not the aggressor and not the most energized team coming out of the gates. And the next thing you know, you're down 17-3 or whatever it was.
Yeah. And I mean, again, like you say, they get away with a lot of these things. You get away with coming out flat here. But again, it's just what we said we didn't need to have happen. There really was no doubt that Arkansas was going to win this game, other than maybe like very early in the game. But throughout the week, we had no doubt that Arkansas would find a way to get this done and avoid truly slipping on the banana peel. But again, just put it out of put us out of our misery. Allow us to enjoy a Saturday at home, which is what we told these fans to expect. And no, yeah, I don't know what it is about this team that doesn't seem to like to show up at home. And we talked about this on the postgame show, but you either got to respond to adversity well, or you've got to handle success well. It doesn't seem like Arkansas does either. And yeah, definitely not an inspired effort. Definitely not early in the game. And I'm not saying the team didn't play hard at certain times. It's not like it was they just didn't show up. But to show up and start off that flat at home is certainly a massive red flag.
Yeah, for sure. And, in fairness, when we talk about how, well, you can't always pin things on the coaching staff when a guy misses a field goal or drops a pass or whatever, like sometimes the players have accountability there. And they do in this situation too, but a big part of the job as a head coach is to get your team motivated, excited, fired up, and focused and ready to play, especially at home. They did none of those things. So if you're looking for somebody to come in here and throw an indictment down on Sam Pittman for what went down, I gladly do that because they just were not ready at all. The other two things that we had as non-negotiables, one, pressure the quarterback. Arkansas did not. They just did not. They had 2 tackles for loss and 1 sack in this game. Zeno, who was sacked 5 times by checks notes, Louisiana Monroe last weekend, really was able to do whatever he wanted, came in, completed 72% of his passes. He was 23 of 32, chucked it for 235 and 3 touchdowns. His 1 interception was right there at the end of the game in a meaningless moment.
Yeah, and I think that's a constant theme that we've seen with this defense. It's not like it's been all bad, like they've been getting gashed all year, but it basically just comes down to whether or not quarterbacks complete passes against them. That's what is determined by if a team is going to move the ball against Arkansas. When Alan Bowman was missing passes in the first half, everything looked great, but yeah, it just doesn't seem like they're able to disrupt opponents and mess with their timing, mess with their game plan. And credit to Trent Dilfer, who's a great offensive mind. And, I'm sure UAB is going to, they're not as bad as they showed last week against ULM, but to have them just things look that easy for their quarterback, just definitely concerning. And for this D line, which I feel like continues to be the big picture question mark for this team moving forward as we move into SEC play of like, how is this group with like maybe 5 guys you trust? How are they going to hold up? So far, it's really beginning to get concerning.
Yeah, it absolutely is. Depth is a concern there, and that was our other thing that we really, really wanted. It was a must-see from Arkansas is to trust their depth a little bit more because you're going to need it. In some ways, they were forced to because you had injuries in the secondary. Marquise Robinson and I think it was Jaheim Singletary started at the corners because Braxton was out. Metcalf had to play a ton because of an injury to Hudson Clark, which is fine. He was starting anyway. I saw a little bit more Larry Worth out there. I didn't necessarily see him do much in the secondary. Boy, it might be a time to look at him at nickel because Danico Slaughter just not trying to rag on the guy. He really struggled and they picked on him. Offensively, maybe a little bit. We saw
one play of Braylon Russell, and it was a damn good one.
Yeah, you put the man in for one play, he gets a touchdown. What do you know? So how about that? They were forced on the offensive line with Addison Nichols getting hurt. Amari Wiggins comes in at center. For the most part, I thought he was fine. Like I didn't notice him until kind of down the stretch. There was a snap into Taylor Green's belly that he just was not ready for, was not expecting. Yeah. That's probably on Wiggins. And then there at that last scoring play, he could have snapped that thing 20 yards behind him. Kind of got lucky and got bailed out there. Defensively, I saw a few guys rotating in on that defensive line later in the game. I saw more Quincy Rhodes than I thought I would. Kiwi. I saw Ian Jafard, I think, for a play or two. So they tried, but I don't know.
You can tell they don't really trust that group. And to speak to that, I noticed that there was a play, I believe it was like with about 8 or 9 minutes left, and UAB had the ball, and it was a huge drive, and they had that second D line in there with Quincy Rhodes, with Ian Jafard in the game. And then as soon as it got to 3rd and 2, they rotated him out. And I didn't see him go back in the rest of the game, where I think it just, again, comes down to, do they trust those guys in that second level of D line? It doesn't seem like they do. And if you don't trust them against UAB, Curtis, how are you going to trust them against Auburn?
Yeah, I don't know. You probably won't, and we'll see if they play or not in this game next week, and what that really looks like. I will credit, and now he's been playing quite a bit, but he really popped today was Steven Dix, and you mentioned him in our post-game show. He had 10 tackles in this game, so that's good to see. You know, Story had 8. I think Dix was able to get 10 tackles without ripping anybody's helmet off of their face. So that was good.
It is weird. I feel so much better about the linebackers than I do the D line, which I feel like those two position groups got lumped in together a lot in the offseason. Seems like Arkansas did a lot to address the linebacker position, and it worked out pretty well for them. D line, we'll see if they're able to find any answers.
Yep, for sure. The challenges that we issued, and this isn't always like hey, like you've been playing terrible, you need to be better kind of challenge. In some cases, it's like that. In other cases, just guys that we know can help this team, or maybe they haven't been getting the opportunities that maybe you thought they were going to. So we throw out some individual challenges and see how it works out. The first one being Landon Jackson. He's a 2-time recipient of our pregame challenges. He made a couple plays. I saw him. He either had a TFL. No, I didn't give him a TFL, but he made a really nice play at the line of scrimmage. Did
on that
not
read option
back, but he got his hands on a couple passes. I noticed him more in this game. He finishes with, let me look, 5 total tackles, 2 pass breakups. So, you want to see him like rock a quarterback at some point this season. That'd be cool. But he was at least more impactful there on the defense. So sure, challenge accepted. I'll give him that.
Right, like he definitely just didn't not show up. I noticed him out there, like you said. I made a couple nice plays. He was really close to getting to the quarterback there on that final drive. He ended up getting rid of it just in time for like a 2-yard gain. The sacks are gonna come for Landon Jackson. I'm not gonna nitpick his effort too much. I did think he showed up at least. And now Curtis, I've got 3 challenges left, because I issued a challenge to Landon Jackson. I issued a challenge to 4 players.
Okay.
2 of them, it won't take me long to get through. I'll just go ahead and say, Braylon Russell, challenge accepted, young man. You played 1 play. You scored a touchdown on that play. That's Davion Dozier versus Western Carolina level efficiency. He did all he could. Maybe he got in for another snap other than that. I didn't see him. I think it was just that one. So, Braylon, I feel like you did what you could do. We will accept that one. So congrats on accepting the challenge. Matthew Shipley, I challenged him. He did not play, even though I did tweet out that he hit that first field goal, because I thought it was him. I don't know why.
To speak it into existence, man.
Ramsey has this like beard that he's grown overnight, and I was like, oh, that's not Ramsey. That's a different guy in there. Shout out to them. They made the move. But I will say, Kyle Ramsey, are we pleased with his field goal effort today? I know he missed the 45-yarder, kind of just pushed it or kept it right a little bit too much, but it's hard to complain about that.
Yeah, no, I'm cool with that. He didn't let one mistake compound into another. When he missed that one from 45, and I was like, man, like those are, you got to make those. But not everybody's Cam Little. Like we have to adjust our expectations a little bit. Other than that, I thought he was solid. And then he bounced back and made the next one. And so that's exactly what you're looking for. 3 out of 4, 75%. Sure. I'll take that. I'll take that every time.
Now, Curtis, we challenged 2 offensive linemen. You challenged Addison Nichols. You said, hey, we got to get the snaps under control.
Yeah,
Addison Nichols says, I hear you. I'm only going to play 3 plays.
Yeah, and by getting snaps under control, we're just going to let somebody else snap the football the whole game. So,
and I don't want to make light of an injury. I shouldn't have done that. But
I hope he's okay.
Nichols, not a ton to evaluate. And I will say, Amari Wiggins, I know he had the weird snap there late in the game. We'll give him a little bit of credit for being kind of thrown into it. And I feel like, considering the fact that Arkansas was down to our starting offensive lineman, I mean, if you count Patrick Udis, I thought the O-line held up well for the most part. So we'll I guess a challenge not accepted, because Addison Nichols didn't snap the ball too much. And he got banged up on the interception play. But another one, I said Keyshawn Blackstock, because Arkansas, and this actually looms even larger now. He was, I didn't notice him much out there today, which I feel like is a good thing for Keyshawn Blackstock after last week.
Yeah.
I know Marion Harris got beat on one of those sacks. I don't remember who it was that they, you could charge the other sack to. But Keyshawn Blackstock, we'll see what the PFF grades have to say about it tomorrow. But I thought he was at least not bad in this game, which is
Right.
An improvement from last week. And really, with Arkansas now missing potentially 2 offensive linemen, really need Keyshawn Blackstock to continue to be just out of the way. We don't notice them, all fine. It seems like Arkansas, at least, we'll give it a half accepted challenge.
Right. Yeah, you're 2 men down now with Kudus also on that offensive line. That's scary going into to next week. So we'll see what's up with Nichols for sure. I had a few that I put out there. Larry Worth, I just wanted to we've heard so much hype, the entire offseason. I just want to see him get out there and do something. And like I said, I mean, I saw him out there a little bit more, but he did not record a stat in this game. My other challenge I issued was just to anybody at corner, not named Jalen Braxton. Cuddy got the start, Singletary got the start, and Arkansas, they were getting thrown on in this game, but I'm going to be very interested to see who all that is attributed to when we get those PFF grades that come out, because Danico Slaughter, I mean, they were picking on the man, a lot. Yeah. And so I kind of have the feeling that he was probably the main culprit there. I did see, I mean, those guys were probably okay. I don't know that I would say accept the challenge. I don't know that I feel great about it when UAB just threw for, 75% completions or whatever on you. So maybe the jury's still kind of out on that one. The other challenge I put out there was to Jaquindon Jackson to just not fumble the football, which he didn't, but he did essentially strip Taylon Green at the goal line with his elbow. So, look, man, no, I'm not gonna knock it. He had a hell of a game.
Some people have a nose for the football. Jaquindon Jackson's got an elbow for the football.
Yeah, that's exactly right. He's a monster when he runs. But he's just his burst at that size. That's just not a dude that I would want to tackle, and most people can't. So,
he's one of the best backs in the SEC. He might be leading the SEC in rushing at this as we speak this moment.
3 straight 100-yard games, ton of touchdowns. He is he's killing it. And now part of me wants to say, I hope he's not fragile, because it seems like at least 3 or 4 times a game, the trainers are tending to him and everything. So I hope he stays healthy, but every time we see that, he comes back in. So maybe he just doesn't like pain, but then it goes away and he comes back and dominates. He's
going to be the boy who cried injury after at some point. The trainers are just going to be like, nah, man, we're not attending to you. And he's going to have a bone sticking out.
Right. Yeah. I mean, a heck of a game. 15 for 147 and a tutty.
Dude, he barely got that 50. That 15 rushes was what he needed for that SARACEN thing.
Yeah.
That would have been brutal.
Yeah, man. Okay, let's move to our bold predictions. These are always interesting. My first one was that Arkansas would have less than 500 yards of total offense. Was right about that, but I also included in there that they would cover the spread, which they did not. So
Curtis, you didn't account for UAB scoring 27.
Yeah, exactly. No, I didn't.
Which is, I think that's fair. I was going to say, I feel like our bold predictions were actually pretty solid. Although I will, got to rag on you just a little bit. You did call the 3 turnovers forced by Arkansas on a defensive touchdown. They did not live up to that one. Although they did get a turnover.
It's not going to happen if quarterbacks are just able to sit back there and hang out and pick up their drive-through McDonald's before they have to throw the football. Arkansas is just not going to force many turnovers.
And Arkansas did not block a punt, which you did have. Which, by the way, I thought I was jealous of your bold predictions because I was like, dang, those are good.
I know.
But they did not block a punt. But Curtis, they did run into the punter.
They did do that,
which got declined, by the way, because the punt was so good. Shout out to Patrick Foley.
Yeah, that was very interesting to see. Yeah. I mean, it would have made it like a 4th and a foot, but I guess at that point it was such a good punt. They were like, whatever.
I got to be honest, Curtis. I might be Mystic Mac over here. I kind of nailed a few of these things. Now, actually, not really, because they didn't get 300 yards rushing. But 300 yards rushing, I feel okay about that prediction. Just like you feel okay about your under 500 yards prediction. Like, I'm okay with that one. Special teams touchdowns. What was it?
266. They finished with.
Okay.
That's solid. That's a good day at the office. Yeah.
Special teams touchdown simply did not happen. Nor was it even close to happening.
No. By the way, interesting that Rodney Hill is just the kickoff guy now.
That happened. I noticed that where they were just like, "Oh, Rodney Hill's back there," and I was like, "Huh, interesting." And I will say, didn't do a great job.
No, when he brought it out, when he brought it out to start the second half from 5 yards deep and then gets popped at the 15, I'm thinking, "Oh, great start. Here we go."
Yeah. But he was just trying to pad the stats for the offense there. I also had Taylon Green 100 yards, which if anyone listened to the show, they remember me saying he's not going to have to run the ball that much, but he'll break off a big one. Well, he didn't break off a big one, and he did run the ball a lot, but it resulted in 96 yards, which frankly, Curtis, I mean, there's a lot that Taylon Green missed on. He was really struggled. He was slow on all his progressions. He was inaccurate, but his legs, I feel like down the stretch really were a big factor. So, I mean, credit to you, Taylon. You out physicaled UAB, and he let him know about it, which I was not happy about.
Yeah. Well, so there you have it. I don't think given the circumstances of this game, I don't feel like we look too dumb, ridiculous, whatever the word is,
Not crazy. No.
Yeah. And maybe we'll get a little bit more bold now that we get into SEC play. But at the end of the day, just I'd like to say a lot of different words, but kind of a typical performance at home against a, non-conference, non-power league opponent. It's just kind of par for the course, except at least they didn't pull a North Texas or a Western Kentucky or a San Jose State. They at least won the game. But buddy, they got a lot to figure out. And for all those who say that this team is not like the last one, they're pretty much showing that they are exactly like that so far. But there's a lot of games left to be played, thankfully.
You remember when Kobe used to say, he talked about number 8, number 24, he's like different, same something, different animal, same animal, different, same beast, different animal, or something like that.
Go. Yeah.
That's what this Arkansas team is. But Curtis, I did also want to just pat myself on the back real quick. Shout out to Mama Armstrong. I know she's watching. I know she is, because I had Andrew Armstrong leading Arkansas in receiving receptions and yards. Little did I know that it was going to look the way it did. And you had Broden for yards, but Armstrong for receptions.
You could have just not brought up the Broden thing. Like,
to be fair, if Broden had caught or been even at least kept his footing on any of the balls he was targeted for, if Taylon could have actually hit him on a couple of them, would have had a chance. And he should have caught that deep ball. He should have caught. So it's like you could see the makings of where your prediction was about to be true.
Yeah, this is tough because, Armstrong is. I mean, he's awesome, man. He's tremendous. He's the ultimate security blanket. Taylon Green did not complete a pass to a Razorback not named Andrew Armstrong until halfway through the third quarter. And he only completed 3 passes total to Razorbacks not named Andrew Armstrong. So if you think there's a connection there, you're right. There absolutely is. And then with Broden, it is frustrating because he was so good in the spring, so good in the fall. Looked like he had really emerged as Arkansas's for sure number 2. But we're seeing the same things that plagued him this time last year, which was a lot of drops, not crisp on his routes. He was falling down, and there just seems to be something, weirdly enough, because it's the opposite of what we saw in practices, but chemistry wise, something just ain't quite right there right now. So they have to figure that out. Once you get an SEC play, you're going to have to get more people involved. Besides Andrew Armstrong, you can still get him 8 for 137 every game, but you got to get others involved. Need more Satania. Luke Has, you ever heard of that guy? It would be nice to see him, make a few plays there. But he's not even getting targeted, so it's not really a him problem, I don't think. But Arkansas wins. They move to 2-1. But oh boy, I don't know how great people feel about this. They got a lot to figure out, and we'll see what they do for Auburn. But we do appreciate everybody for tuning in as always and staying tapped in what we got going on. If you're not subscribed to our Inside Arkansas YouTube page, make sure that you do that because we got a lot of content coming your way, including our post-game report card, which we do every morning following the game. Where we kind of dive in on our position grades. We bring up the PFF stuff a little bit. I imagine this one is going to be eventful. So make sure that you tune in for that on Sunday and get subscribed wherever you get subscribed for your podcast. The Pod of That Nature has its own feed. So Spotify, Apple, whatever. Make sure you do that and follow along. We appreciate the support, but we are out of here. I think we're tired of talking about this game for right now. So appreciate you guys for tuning in. For Andrew Ellis, this has been Curtis Wilkerson with Inside Arkansas on the Pod of That Nature, and we will be back with you and talk to you tomorrow. Everybody have a good night.